Young Professionals Program. Okay, maybe I should start that again. So welcome everyone to the Youth Open Forum for NGO CSW. My name is Safira, serving as one of the co-chairs for the Youth Leaders and Young Professionals Program for NGO CSW. I'm here along with my co-chair, Devin. I don't know, Devin, if you want to say a quick hello.
Hi, everyone.
So you know who both of us are. We welcome you to take a look at the agenda that has just put in the chat of our time together. And also, if you would like to introduce yourself in the chat, usually we kind of like to give everyone the opportunity to just introduce themselves, their organization. If you want to put your LinkedIn or your Instagram links in the chat, it's a wonderful way for us to also connect and get to know each other and who's on the call. So feel welcome to do that. Later on in the call today, we'll also add the website of the YLYPs, our WhatsApp group, our Slack channel, if you would like to join and connect in those ways too, as we're trying to build this network of young people working together on gender equality. So with that, I will pass to our chair of NGO CSW, Huri Gudalekian, to say a few words.
Thank you so much, Safira. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here. If anybody has seen me talk in any meetings, you know this is my favorite group. I love the YLYPs. I am so proud of them, and I'm so grateful for Safira, Devin, and Saida for doing the amazing work that they're doing. I'll just take a couple of minutes to say, first of all, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for spreading the word. Please introduce yourselves in the chat. And I know that this is open not just for youth, but for elders, what I like to call myself, meaning the ones who have been around a few more years than you all. So please introduce yourself, because I love to see people connect at our meetings. I have heard so many amazing stories of partnerships and, you know, empowering of each other. So that's why we do these things. Obviously, there's a mission today. We want you all to learn about the forum and how you can engage at the forum, and that is important. Pay attention to what they're presenting, but also use it as an opportunity to connect with each other, introduce yourselves to each other. And the last thing I want to say, I mean, you're going to hear everything there is to know, because I don't want to take up time talking about the forum and how proud I am of our co-chairs. You're going to hear from Rosa and Pamela in a minute. The other thing I want to say is that what I'm asking you to do in this meeting is my best advice I can give you. Whenever you're in a room at a parallel event or at our meetings, be prepared to engage, be prepared to talk about yourself and connect. And sometimes it takes a while to get that right partnership, but you know, like, as I said, there's a great opportunity for you all to share what you know and learn from each other. And I'm gonna just leave it at that, because again, like I said, this team has prepared an amazing hour of information here. So engage, and I will be here for a while answering questions in the chat as well. And I will see you at the end. Thank you, Safira and Devin.
Thank you so much, Huri, and always just the energy and the support that you bring to the YLYPs is so much appreciated. So I will now introduce the co-chairs for the NGO CSW Forum for the coming year. So I'd like to introduce Rosa and Pamela, and they're going to give us a little bit of background about what the NGO Forum is, what's its purpose, some of the priority themes. So I'll hand over to you, Rosa and Pam.
Thank you,
so
Safira.
much.
Rosa, go ahead, please.
Oh, sorry. Hi, I just wanted hello, and then you can say hello, and I'll just do a little intro. But first of all, welcome. Buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I'm Rosa Lizardi. I am the chair of the NGO CSW, and I also serve as a treasurer of the NGO CSW NY. And I'm really thrilled to be here for today's program. Let me give my co-chair a chance to say hello, and then we'll get to some information about what the forum is, its purpose, and a little of what's going to happen at the forum.
Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here. I am Pamela Morgan. I represent Zonta International at the UN, and I'm particularly pleased today to see that there are a number of men with us, because we know that issues such as violence against women cannot be solved if only women are at the table. So like with Security Council Resolution 1325, where they want women at the peace table, we want men at this table. So thank you all for being here. And Rosa, why don't you begin with the priority theme?
Sure. So I too am thrilled to be part of this program and to be engaged with YPs. I think like Corey, it's one of my favorite parts. So I'm very interested after this to chat with you all in the chat and see who's here. So about the NGO CSW Forum and the CSW, I know there will be a lot of information thrown at you today, but really we just wanted to give you a quick overview because we know that Safira and Devin and our interns and Saida will give you more information, way more that might be digestible today. The NGO CSW New York hosts this 2-week forum that is primarily the civil society of the Commission on the Status of Women. And the runs parallel to the mission. This year, March 5th through the 7th. It provides civil society the opportunity to engage in the processes of the CSW, and also provides a very open space with where individuals and organizations that are not accredited to the United Nations can engage and network and meet each other. So over the 2 weeks of this NGO CSW Forum, we organize hundreds of parallel events and other to inform, engage, inspire, and advocate for of non-gender conforming. And how that we provide the parallel events opportunity. And this year, we're happy to report that we have over 700 applications for parallel events. We will be doing the forum virtually and in person, but the plans for this forum have 80% virtually online events and 20% in person. We are still transitioning into post-pandemic time with in person. So we're going to see, of course, we can't predict the future, but those are our plans right now. And we're organizing around the priority and the secondary theme, the Commission on the Status of Women, which this year is innovation and technological change and education in age for achieving gender equality and empowerment of all women and girls. And the sub-theme, a review of CSW62's theme, which was on women. So this theme in particular is very relevant to, your age group, let's say, because really, if according to the UN, people between the ages of 15 to 24 are about 16-20% of the population. So you're not only very future, but you're our present time as well. So how do these issues relate very quickly? We add information on availability of technology and digital education. We can look at issues of training. We look at the technological innovation and digital impact on girls, LGBTI youth. We can look at online safety from cyberbullying, harassment. That's, you know, a very relevant point in this day and time. Look at eliminating the gender gap and looking at providing education, critical digital fluency skills, from, you know, digital literacy to advanced skills in the STEM area, in the information and communications technology area, ICT. So this is information that is very relevant to and we're thrilled to be able to provide opportunities around this. We're going to be having more orientation and advocacy training. We're going to provide regional caucuses that you can join from the different regions of the world. We're also going to be having conversation circles. And are opportunities for depth at the intersection of a lot of issues with this priority theme on innovation and technological change and in a digital age. So last but not least, I just want to give a shout out to the team that has put this together, and Safir, Devin, Saeed, our interns are all powerful youth and young people who, you know, make our world go round in the NGO CSW NY. So thank you so much all to be there and support. We're going to be here answering questions. Any questions, please put in the chat. I'll try to respond to immediately. So thank you all for being here. It's my honor to be here with you all, and I'll hand over to my co-chair, Pamela.
Thank you so much, Rosa. And just to dig a little deeper into Rosa's overview, with the hybrid, the beauty is that whether you are able to come to New York or not, you're still able to participate. So there will be approximately 250 parallel events in person, but we're going to have over 500 that are virtual. And the same with our regional caucuses. They're going to be hybrid, meaning that some of us will be here in New York, but you'll also be able to access all of that information virtually because they'll be streamed along with the conversation circles. Our regional caucuses are going to be hybrid as well, in person and virtual. So you see NGO CSW's team has given tremendous consideration to the breadth of our constituency, and we want everyone to be able to access all of the jewels that we have with this NGO CSW. Our orientation and advocacy group is preparing 2 days of training. So the first Monday of the NGO CSW Forum will be a training session in orientation, and the second day will be a training session in advocacy. And some of us really are not sure on where to begin our advocacy and where to take it. Come to this session and you'll get a blueprint for how to continue with your advocacy. And I too will be here if you have any questions. If you want to further discuss, please put your information in the chat. Additionally, I'll put my email in the chat so you can email me. And I want to give, as I always do, credit to Devin Zingler and her team for their tremendous efforts. So thank you all. And Devin, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you so much, Pamela and Rosa. Yeah, so that was a really great overview of the forum, what it is, what it's about, what we're kind of planning. So with that, I'll go a little bit more in detail about the differences between the NGO CSW Forum and the UN CSW. So first is that the NGO CSW Forum is totally civil society led and organized. So it's essentially the civil society side of the UN CSW. It happens outside of the UN headquarters in the same area, but you don't have to, go through all of the security to access, the UN building itself. It's organized by NGO CSW New York, and we are a civil society organization. We are not part of the UN. So we're totally civil society. We host virtual and in-person parallel events and other civil society-led events and spaces. So even though some of these events will have attendees and speakers from different sectors, we might have some member states, some private sector maybe, it's still totally led by civil society. And we prepare recommendations to include in the CSW outcome document. We will be talking a little bit more about this later on. And last but not least, the NGO CSW Forum is totally free and open to the public, so you don't have to have any special qualifications or accreditations to access the forum and attend any events. It's totally open to anyone, whether you are affiliated with an organization, whether you're just an individual wanting to learn. So it's totally open to whoever wants to join. The UN CSW, on the other hand, is an official UN commission, and it takes place inside the United Nations headquarters. It's coordinated by UN Women, who's a UN agency, and we will put their email in the chat. So if you have any questions or concerns or anything about, registration or side events for the UN CSW, you can contact UN Women at that email. And it hosts official side events organized by UN agencies, member states, and CSOs, civil society organizations. So the difference between parallel events and side events is that parallel events are hosted by civil society organizations or groups, while the side events, you have to partner with a UN agency or a member state to host a side event, and these happen either in the UN building, or some of them I believe will be online this year as well. With the side events, even if you're not ECOSOC accredited, you still can attend, but there is a bit of a process with like security, getting a pass to get into the building, and all of that stuff. And then the CSW, the main outcome is a document known as the Agreed Conclusions, and this is negotiated by member states. Like I mentioned, civil society will send their recommendations for the outcome document, do some advocacy with member states around that, but they are not in the negotiations themselves. So it is negotiated by member states. And at the end of the 2 weeks, they agree on this document around the priority theme for the CSW. And lastly, only ECOSOC accredited organizations can officially register for the UN CSW. So you do have to be part of an ECOSOC accredited organization. Each ECOSOC organization can have up to 20 people registered for the UN CSW. So there is a little bit of that, yeah, you have to have that accreditation and go through that process to be able to register for the CSW and then attend the events and get into the UN building and all of that. So that's it for that section. Definitely know that this can be confusing. So feel free to send questions in the chat, but also if you have any other questions later on, we're always available to answer your questions via email, and we'll send our email and stuff in the chat as well. So now I'll talk about the reasons to attend the forum, aka some of the events and spaces that we have planned. So the first thing is parallel events. So like we've mentioned before, these are organized by civil society organizations or groups from all over the world, and they usually address the CSW priority theme in some way. The parallel event applications are officially closed. So if you did apply, you will be hearing back from us by mid-January. But also, if you did not apply to host a parallel event, even just attending them is a really, really great experience. As Pamela and Rosa mentioned, we'll have over 700 with a mix of both in-person events and virtual. And it's such a diverse group of organizers and events and topics. So it's really great to explore those and attend those as well. And we will have those on our virtual portal. So even in-person parallel events or any in-person events at the forum will also be on our virtual portal. And I'll talk about our portal a little bit later on. But next we have conversation circles, which is another really popular part of the forum. So this year we will have 10 conversation circles. As Pamela mentioned, they will be hybrid. So we will have an in-person room, but we'll also be connecting people virtually so that they can still participate. And each conversation circle addresses a different topic related to women's rights or gender equality. So just a few examples, we'll have an LGBTQ+, we'll have the future of education, feminist and youth leadership. So a bunch of different topics that are main issues within the women's rights and gender equality movement globally. And these conversation circles are facilitated by experts in that topic as well. So they are an informal space to kind of discuss these issues with like-minded people, but they will also be facilitated to keep the conversation going and keep it interesting. We have Consultation Day, which is our big kickoff event for the forum. That happens the Sunday before the CSW starts. So in this year, it'll be on the 5th of March. And the program usually includes some high-level conversation, educational panels about the priority theme, but also some fun stuff like feminist entertainment. So we'll be sending more information about Consultation Day in the coming months, but it will be virtual this year. So keep an eye out for information about that. And we also have civil society briefings. So these will be a really great place to get updates and information about the official CSW and the negotiations process for that outcome document that I mentioned before. So we'll have UN agencies, most likely UN Women, member states, most likely from the CSW Bureau, to join us and kind of give us some updates about what's happening, where they are in the negotiations. So this will be a really great place if you're interested in that. Regional caucuses. So these are kind of similar to conversation circles in that they're just like informal spaces to meet and discuss issues, but each of these sessions are for one of the regions of the world. So we have 5 caucuses, and each one will meet twice, one during the first week, one during the second week. So we have Africa, Asia Pacific, Arab states and MENA, Latin America and the Caribbean, and North America and Europe. And like conversation circles, these will be hybrid, so they'll be an in-person room with the opportunity to also join virtually. We also have a virtual exhibit hall. So this is kind of imitating your traditional in-person exhibition space where there are different booths that you can visit and learn more about the organizer of that booth, get some materials with more information. So on our portal, we have a space where exhibitors have a unique page where they can put all this information. You can connect with them. There's a chat feature. And the exhibit booth applications are open. So you are also welcome to host an exhibit booth if you're interested in that. And the NGO CSW Forum is a really great place for networking. So I think it was Hootie who kind of mentioned, like, this is a really good space to introduce yourself to other people, connect with other activists and other organizations that you're interested in. So the forum is a really great place to meet people or reunite with people that you haven't seen for a while. And this goes for both in-person participation and virtually. So on the portal, there are different ways to connect with people, different like message boards, things like that. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And then last but not least, the forum is a great place to advocate for your organization or the issues that you're passionate about or that you work on, or advocacy specifically for the CSW negotiations and the outcome document. And as was mentioned before, we will have some advocacy trainings and also a lot of resources and materials that we'll share, so everyone feels comfortable with advocacy and advocating and can learn more if that's something that they're interested in. So I think that's it from me for now, and I will pass it over to Safira to talk about some of the youth spaces that we have for the CSW.
Thank you, Devin. So yes, some of you might be familiar with some of these youth spaces from previous years. So the first one is our youth preparation series, which we have done for the past 2 or 3 years now. And really the purpose of the youth preparation series is to build a network. So we're meeting every Wednesday for 8 weeks in the lead up to the commission. So it will start on the 11th of January. Generally, the timing will be noon, New York time, each of those Wednesdays. And the purpose of the series is to develop a network, allow us to kind of meet on a regular basis and get to know one another on the call. Also to kind of build our capacity, think about ways that together we can be effective advocates at the commission itself. It's to highlight youth voices, it's to have conversations around the priority and the review theme, it's to bring certain issues that young people feel are really important at the regional level or at the grassroots level to the fore. So really it's giving young people a voice and an opportunity to connect with one another and to organize ourselves in a way that we can be most effective during the commission once it starts. So keep an eye out. I know Devin is putting together like a nice flyer and a newsletter with those dates, with all of those dates and themes of each of those events in the preparation series starting in January. The next one to keep an eye on is the CSW Youth Forum, which will be held from the 16th to the 17th of February, also preparation space, and UN Women will be sharing more information about that as it becomes available. We're also going to be having a number of YLYP events during the commission itself, so during the NGO CSW Forum. We already have a barbershop for men and boys, which has been organized. So that will be a great space. It's going to be in person for those of you who will be with us in person, really to give space and have a conversation around the role of young men in advancing gender equality. And we're also hoping to do some networking events, and particularly for those who are coming in person, to meet in person, because we haven't in a number of years now, but also online. So those who are joining virtually will have some opportunities for you also to connect. There will be youth morning briefings during the CSW. The dates are still coming, so keep your eye out on what that youth morning briefing is going to look like. And then there's also going to be a high-level intergenerational dialogue during the CSW. And so this is an opportunity for young people, those who are more experienced, to have a dialogue, really to kind of foster an understanding of the way that the priority themes kind of impact us in different ways, and the ways that we can contribute to advancing those. So those are some of the youth spaces to keep your eye on. We can take a look now at most important dates. So these are dates that are also part of the youth preparation series. So you can see that it starts on Wednesday, the 11th of January. As part of the youth preparation series, there will be a youth advocacy training session. So this, as Rosa and Pamela mentioned earlier on, this is a place to really understand advocacy, to look at the tools, to look at the process. The Youth CSW Forum in February, consultation day. There will be the orientation session and the advocacy training sessions, just for the forum in general, as was mentioned earlier. And then the commission and the NGO CSW Forum will run in parallel from the 6th to the 17th of March. So keep an eye on those dates, and I will pass to Ivy and Ani, who are part of our advocacy and research group, just to explain a little bit about what they're doing there.
So Ivy and Ani are not able to join us today, so I'll be going over the advocacy and research group section. But yeah, so our advocacy and research group, this is maybe the third year that we've done this in the same format. We've had similar kind of advocacy groups before, but so the Advocacy and Research Group, or the ARG, so each year they will research the priority theme through a regional and global context. So the ARG is comprised of members from NGO CSW New York, but also the other NGO CSWs around the globe, as well as other experts and advocates who are not necessarily part of NGO CSW, but are interested and just on the group. So this year, they have been specifically emphasizing consulting with our global constituency, including grassroots and community-based activists, to get their input on their lived experience related to the priority theme. So of course, they do research, you know, in the more traditional definition of the word, but also, you know, the real experts on this topic is the people who are on the ground and who are living through the issues. So we want to make sure that we really are representing their priorities as well. So the culmination of all of this research is our recommendations for the agreed conclusions 0 draft. We have 5 recommendations this year. We did just publish them yesterday. So I think one of my colleagues will put the link for those in the chat, but I'll also go over them a little bit right now. So the first one is to invest in and strengthen gender responsive programs and policies that prioritize critical digital literacy and STEM education for girls and women in all their diversity, for meaningful participation in digital society and economy. And also these recommendations in January or early February, we will also be preparing and disseminating like 1-pager briefs on each of these recommendations that goes a little bit more in detail with the recommendations and some like good practices for each of these as well. So the second one is to implement and reform laws and policies to address the risks to privacy, autonomy, dignity, and safety faced by women and girls and all their diversity on digital platforms. The third is to ensure universal access to essential technological infrastructure and frontier data and AI innovations, with a special focus on rural areas, women and girls living with disabilities, and older women. The fourth is to leverage various financial routes, including public and development finance and private sector partnerships, to enable universal, affordable, equal, and unfettered digital technology for women and girls and all their diversity. And lastly, develop and invest in policies and programs that prioritize critical digital literacy, STEM education, online safety, and digital empowerment for girls and young women in all their diversity. So these 5 recommendations are available to download through the link that's in the chat, but we will also be doing more kind of campaigns for these 5 recommendations. We will have a sign-on statement, so if you agree with these recommendations, you can sign on to that to give a little bit more power behind these recommendations. When we do bring them to member states, we can say we have X number of people backing us who have signed on as well. We'll also put these on social media, obviously, so feel free to share there. And we'll also have some like social media templates or email templates to use yourself to advocate to member states or anyone really, any stakeholder. So yeah, so definitely check these out in more detail. The Advocacy and Research Group's website is also in the chat, and keep an eye out for more information about these recommendations and some of the engagement tools that I just mentioned. So I think with that, I will talk about the virtual portal. So as I mentioned before, the virtual portal, well, first of all, we will be using a different virtual portal this year than we have used in past years. So it's definitely like new and improved. It's a lot more user-friendly, a lot easier to use. And one of the ways in which it's just way easier and nicer is through the registration this year. If you participated last year, you might remember that the registration process was, there was like a lot of steps. It was a little bit confusing. So this year, the registration is super simple and easy to figure out. And if someone could just put the registration link in the chat. I also forgot to mention that the virtual portal is officially live and it's open. So definitely register so you can access the portal and start to explore on there and start to connect with other attendees. And leading up to the forum, we will also be adding more and more information onto the portal as well. So parallel events, as I mentioned, all parallel events, whether they're in person or virtual, will be listed on the portal. So, and there also is a mobile app. So that'll be really convenient for those who are in person and on the move, and you can see everything on your phone. One thing is that virtual parallel event organizers will be using their own virtual meeting platform like Zoom or Google Meets or WebEx, similar to last year. There's a lot of different message boards with different topics, and this will be a really great way to engage with other participants, especially before the forum, during this time that the portal is open, but the forum hasn't officially started. This will be a great place to meet people, engage with people, start to build relationships and network. And we also have the exhibitors and handbook ad sponsors. There is a section in the portal to explore the exhibit booths and the handbook ads and learn more about them. You'll be able to contact them directly, contact the representatives, download any materials that they upload. There's also a chat feature where they can post, but also you can post to talk to them. And lastly, there will be a bunch of different resources on the portal. And just also in general, we will be sending out a lot of helpful materials for navigating the portal and the forum in general, how to participate, how to be safe on the virtual space and also in the in-person space. And this will include, FAQs, tutorial videos. We will have some training events later in the next couple of months. So yes, also if you're feeling really overwhelmed and you're like, this is a ton of information, or you're still, confused about processes that are to come, don't worry, we got you. We'll send a ton of different materials and resources to help you through this whole process. And I think that's it for our program. So we'll open it up for questions. If anyone has questions, feel free to raise your hand through the reactions button or put your question in the chat, and me and my team will can answer in the chat and also, live here as well. And I'm just now seeing the chat after not sharing my screen. So thank you to Hootie and Rosa for answering a lot of questions already. Yeah, feel free to raise your hand if you have any questions. Yeah, or if any of my team wants to jump in here at all, definitely go for it.
Seems like it was all very clear.
I
all the questions
so.
have been answered.
All right.
Great. So I just wanted to maybe add, we can put the WhatsApp and the Slack and just some of those details in the chat for those who want to connect with YLYPs and other spaces. And then also, I mean, everyone on the team who has spoken has been so generous, like offering their their email and their like willingness to support and answer questions offline, and also to say that with the youth preparation series every Wednesday, that's also an opportunity to come with questions as we get closer to the date, just to consult, like, what are the plans, what is happening, also on our end as details become a little bit clearer, as we're coordinating kind of with other youth constituencies and UN Women as we get closer to the date. I think there'll be you know, more detail and more opportunities that will arise. So it'll be an ongoing conversation as we get closer to the commission. Perfect. That's the link. So Devon's put the link in the chat with all of the different ways to connect in and get involved.
Yes, and Liv and Queen, yes, we do have a WhatsApp group, but we also have a Slack channel, which everyone can post in. So both of the links to join those two spaces are in that Linktree link that I just posted. And yes, Hootie, if you have any questions related to the official UN CSW, Hootie just kindly put the UN Women's email in the chat. So like we mentioned, NGO CSW New York, we are not part of the UN system, so we can't really assist with any of the like UN CSW registration through Indico. So if you have any questions or concerns about that, feel free to answer UN Women. They usually respond in, 24 to 48 hours. I will fix the Slack link. You'll still be able to use that link tree, but I can fix that right now. And yeah, also we are totally available if you come up with any questions after this. I will put our email in the chat. We have our general email, info@ngocsw.org, but the YLYP is also our own email if you want to email specifically about the YLYPs. So that is ylyps@ngocsw.org. And I think someone on my team posted our social media as well, so definitely follow us there to make sure that you're seeing all of our updates. Same with joining our mailing list. We send a ton of updates, all of our information as they are available to our mailing list on our social media, but also you can just check out our website as well. We keep that updated. Yes, and Hootie also put in the chat our monthly meetings, which are another great place to, one, meet other people, especially the NGO CSW community, but also to learn about the different topics related to the priority theme. Yeah, so I'll also put the link for our monthly meetings in the chat. The next one is on December 15th. So if you're on our mailing list, you'll definitely get emails about that. And Jivaka, I see your question. Is there a youth briefing planned as part of the NGO CSW events this year? And will it be hybrid? So we will definitely be doing a youth briefing again this year. It will most likely be virtual, but that is not set in stone yet, but we will definitely be sending the information about that session as it becomes available to the YLYP's mailing list and also our general mailing list as well. Yes, and thank you to our interns, Carla, Ali, and Michaela, who are here. And you probably see them in the chat posting stuff. So yeah, we have an amazing team. Yeah, so unless anyone has any other questions or concerns or comments, I think we can wrap up. All right.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you all for joining, and thank you so much to Devin and the team.
Great. Thank you all so much. Have
Thanks,
a great
everyone.
day.
Bye.